Okay, so let's dive right in. We've got this this story that kind of blew up,
Yeah.
and it's a story about friendship and cancer, and how sometimes trying to be supportive can be a little, well, awkward.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got John Stamos,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Jesse?
Uncle Jesse
Full House.
from Full House,
Yeah.
and he's publicly supporting his co-star, Dave Coulier,
Right.
who is going through cancer treatment.
Whoa.
You would think that's a sweet thing, right?
Yeah. Well, it can backfire.
It blew up in his face.
Interesting.
So we're going to look at a New York Post article that kind of untacks everything that's going on here.
Okay.
But I think it brings up a really interesting question for all of us.
Yeah.
What makes a gesture of support meaningful?
It's so true.
And is there like a line between you trying to be empathetic and like calling attention to yourself?
Oh, for sure. I mean, look, this is the age of social media.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like, how do we deal with illness and friendship, but under this whole microscope of,
Everybody's watching.
Everyone's watching.
So let's just get everyone up to speed.
Okay.
Dave Coulier, he recently shared that he's battling a really aggressive form of non-Hodgkin lymphoma.
Oh, wow.
And he's starting chemo.
Yeah.
And the chemo is going to last all the way until February 2025.
Oh, my gosh.
But the thing is, even with this diagnosis, he is staying positive and totally focused on beating this thing.
That's amazing.
I know.
So resilient.
Yeah, and it really, I think, shines a light on how serious this is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
And so let's talk about how John Stamos responds.
Okay.
So he goes on Instagram,
All right.
posts photos of him and Coulier.
Okay.
Coulier's got a shaved head
Right. Of course.
because of the chemo.
Yeah.
But in one of the photos,
Yeah.
Stamos is wearing a bald cap.
Uh-huh. The bald cap.
The bald cap.
The detail that sparked a million comments.
It's crazy how polarizing this one little thing is.
It is.
I mean, some people are just outraged. They're calling it inappropriate. They're calling it insulting,
Yeah.
saying that he's making light of cancer treatment
Right.
and trivializing it.
Yeah.
Like it's just a costume party.
Yeah. And especially if you've been through cancer or you've seen a loved one go through cancer.
Yeah.
That bald cap could seem really, superficial.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to relate to an experience that he doesn't understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then you've got other fans who are like, no, Stamos is a good guy. He meant well.
Sure.
And they're saying, he's an actor. His hair is like part of his job.
That's a good point.
So what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, we can't really know what was going on in Stamos's head, right?
Right.
I mean, maybe he was just trying to be lighthearted.
Right.
Maybe he thought it was a fun way to show his support visually, stand with his friend without putting all the focus on himself.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it brings up this really interesting thing about performative empathy, especially on social media.
Nah.
Right? Because everything is so exaggerated.
It magnified.
And can be, taken the wrong way.
There's almost like this pressure to be supportive publicly.
Oh, totally.
That I think sometimes we miss those private, genuine moments.
Exactly.
That really matter.
Yeah. So have you ever been in a situation where you didn't know how to support someone?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
Right. Because it's tough.
It is.
Like, what do you say? What do you do?
Yeah.
What actually makes a difference?
I mean, is it those big gestures?
Yeah.
Or is it just being there?
Exactly.
Consistently.
Yeah, it's a good question.
And, going back to this whole Stamos thing,
Yeah.
I think regardless of his intentions and what we think about it,
Yeah.
ultimately,
Yeah.
it's Coulier's feelings
Yes.
that matter.
Right. It's about their friendship.
Yeah.
And how they interact.
And get this, Coulier captions the photo. Nothing like throwing on a bald cap and flexing some Photoshop skills to show some love and solidarity with my bro.
That's great.
So it seems like he's taking it in stride.
He is.
Even found some humor in it,
Yeah.
which I think is really telling.
So it seems like, the gesture was received well,
Yeah.
at least between the two of them.
Yeah.
I think this whole debate about Stamos's approach is interesting and valid.
Right.
But it really, this starts a conversation about how can we all be more supportive and genuine
Yeah.
when people are facing tough challenges.
It's true. And I think, this whole situation, even though it seems kind of silly,
Yeah.
is actually really thought-provoking.
Yeah.
It reminds us that even when we mean well,
Mm-hmm.
it can be really tricky
Yeah.
to support people.
We get it right.
And it makes me think about
Yeah.
how do we find that balance between showing our support and also respecting people's experiences,
Yes.
especially when they're going through something really difficult.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you,
Yeah.
what does meaningful support look like to you?
That's a great question.
Think about that and think about the ways that you show up for the people that you care about.